Hello. So the first question is on the port situation. How is the port operating after these 3 weeks of
Let
lockdown?
me just add here. See, what's happening with the port is the government, of course, had issued to all the port authorities that they can actually have a notification on force majeure. Some of the ports have invoked port majeure. However, some of them are working. Few ports run by Adani in Gujarat and all have been closed down. But other than that, which is operated by DP World in Bombay and all, some of them are actually operating. So probably I'll have to give you an exact figure which one of them is operating, which one is not operating. That is probably we'll have to check that and get back to you. Some of them are operating, some of them are not operating. The one which are operating, they are finding it very difficult because of the shortage of manpower. Of course, the imports have come down. I believe the exports have stopped for the time being, but the imports have drastically come down. And but there's a challenge in evacuation. There's a challenge in evacuation because there are hardly the required number of truckers available. The forwarding agents, the government officials who clears these things are not available on time. So these things are stuck there, and these are actually cloaking the port terminals. So it's becoming a challenge, and this was the situation till last week. I presume there are a lot of other recommendation which has gone to the government, and there's work happening. In fact, Danish organized an interaction with Mr. Sivselam. I'm sure a few of those questions were on these lines. I was not part of that, unfortunately, but I'm sure there were some discussions on these lines. Isn't it, Danish?
Yeah.
I see.
You have covered everything. So yeah, very good.
Okay.
And in fact, I would just like to add that, as Prashant mentioned, some are operating, some are not. But most of the ones which are operating are the important ones. Like, for example, this Mumbai, all this JNPT, this thing, Nava Shiva and all that, they cover, I think, more than 50% of India's containerized cargo. And apart from that, Chennai, Visakhapatnam, all the important ones, only small ones like what Prashant mentioned, private ones especially, they are not operating, and they are also likely to get into operation sometime soon. So that is likely to happen. But as far as port activities are concerned, that is by and large coming back to normal in most of the cases as of now. And I don't think that there would be further problem, because much of the problems like what Prashant mentioned is about the thing, labor and logistics. But on that front also, I think government is taking lots of proactive measures and actions. And I think in just matter of 2-3 days, I think things should be perfectly normal.
Yeah.
And as far as customs is concerned, they are going, this thing, they are working very fast right from second day itself after the lockdown, and they are trying to clear all the goods as quickly as possible. But despite that, I'm told that the situation at Mumbai airport is slightly bad because it is operated by this thing MIAL, and they are not actually allowing the cargo to be shifted to some private sector, CFS and all that. So that is actually contributing to some bit of congestion, but the problem is still not that alarming. So by and large, I would think that things are quite under control as of now. Yeah, and from here I see situation only improving.
Oh, I see. Thank you very much for the answer. Just a follow-up question on the port customs clearance. For exporting products from India, recently I heard that some digitalized bonds or documents can be forwarded in order to process the cargo. Is it still effective?
It's very much effective. Now you don't have to actually submit the hard copies. In fact, this was one of our recommendations. We said that, making the bond done in this kind of environment, when you have to actually get the physical copy, stamp paper and all that, that's going to be very difficult. So it should be made, one should just be allowed to actually submit undertaking, and then based on that, one should be allowed to import. And government has kindly accepted it, and it's very much in line actually. And in most of the cases, in fact, there was one circular even today where the CBIC has said that even e-gate passes and all that will be issued, and so there'll be absolutely no need for any physical interface actually. So everything we are trying to make it very what you call in non interfacing and all that. So bond is actually working very effectively at pan India level.
Oh, I see. That's glad to know. So, can I move to air cargo? I know this is a different area, but according to the news sources, the situation at the airports are pretty normal. Is it correct?
It's yeah, pretty normal, but actually what has happened earlier, cargo would also come in the belly of this passenger aircraft and all that. And now only special cargo aircraft have to be flown. So that way, actually now this thing has reduced frequency of delivery and all that. But situation, you are right, is much better than what it is there at the in the case of ports and all that. And anyway, the cargo which comes at the airport, they are mostly perishable. So there is always, priority given to these items to clear at the earliest. So from that angle also, it has to be much better than what is the situation at the port level. Prashant, would like to add?
Just to add here,
Sure.
presently, I believe the cargo flight is only operational between Chennai and India as far as imports are concerned, which is operated by Air India through a chartered flight. I'll have to probably check if there's any additional one started. Locally, yes, of course, there are cargoes, and most of them are focusing on essential services as of now. But presently, I believe international, it's only Air India which is operating for cargo through its chartered services from China. Other countries, I'll have to check up and probably revert. Danish, you have any idea on other countries?
Because just 4-5 days back, one of the importers, he told me that my cargo is going to arrive at Mumbai airport today evening. It is coming from US via Singapore, so it will come at around 8 o'clock. So I understand that international flights are also coming as far as cargo is concerned. And the same is, I guess, it's also the case. I was reading in newspaper that even at our international Indira Gandhi International Airport, Delhi, there also we are having all these cargo coming in, or rather cargo flights coming in from other countries. Of course, coming in from some limited countries, but I think it is coming. Yeah.
I see. Oh, that's glad to know. So I would like to ask questions about the inland transportation now. Just moments ago, I've Googled some news, and they said that the freight operators are charging more cost, or tariff for inland transportation. Do you have any opinion on this?
Actually, I tell you, like Prashant mentioned, there is an acute shortage of drivers. They have gone back home, not able to come back to the duty for one or the other reason. And then same is the case with the workers also. So there is definitely shortage of truck drivers, because of which, availability of trucks and trailers, that has actually gone down. And as a result, you are absolutely correct that logistic costs have increased, and some people are saying that as of now, it has increased from 20-30% to even 100%. Like, for example, not only this logistic cost, even container charges, shipping liners have increased from $3 to $80-90, and even going up to $100. So that is the kind of situation that is happening. So as and when you have the shortage of logistics, it is bound to actually increase the logistic cost. So as of now, I am told that logistic cost has increased from 30% to 100%.
Yeah, and I think it's a natural impact with the overall this scenario. Things like the insurance costs, those kind of things would automatically go up.
Obviously. And then the kind of hardship a truck driver has to go, because there is no repair shop, there is no food at all, and the water so readily available, and there is so much of risk they are taking. So naturally they have to actually compensate by charging higher.
Okay. Besides those overhead costs, there's a question about trucks encountering difficulty at each state borders. Is any opinion on this?
Here, what happened? You are right. Actually, 3, 4, 5 days back, Ministry of Home Affairs issued a very clear instructions. In fact, I think after 2 or 3 days of the lockdown, that all trucks, whether they are empty or they are carrying items or they are carrying essential goods, non-essential goods, should be allowed to move within a state and intra-state without any other state. A driver who is actually driving the license, his driving license should be considered as his pass. As long as he is having pass, his movement should not be restricted and he should be allowed a free movement across. But despite this instruction from the central government, almost all the states were creating lots of actually hassle and obstruction in movement of transport vehicles. They were stopping it, not letting it go from one place, and it was causing lots of problem actually. So I think the day before yesterday, Ministry of Home Affairs again issued a circular to chief secretaries of each state, asking that what we said earlier has to be effectively implemented at the ground level. And now what they have also done is that they have opened a online help desk, that if any truck driver or truck is finding a problem in moving in a state or outside the state, he has to just dial in a particular number and his problem will be taken care of. So now most of the states would have by now started working on smoothening the movement of trucks within as well as across the states.
Okay, that's good to know. That's good to know. My final question would be, since the lockdown has been extended to the 3rd of May, would this in any way affect the current logistics situation?
Current logistics situation.
Well, would it improve or become better or become worse? Or
if you take my view, I think from here on things are going to only improve.
only
Because
improve?
our lockdown was very abrupt and it had to be implemented all of a suddenly. But then we started working overtime and making sure that things start, smoothening or getting streamlined. And the way the government is working extra time, I think it's just a matter of time that things would come to normal. As far as normal means a new normal, I can say. But from here, I don't think there would be any further problem. Things have to improve from here on. The government has waived off demurrage charges from the CFS and ports and all that. So some of the importers actually, they are in no hurry to actually pick up the items from CFS and ports. So as a result, now CFS, most of the, you are aware about CFS, container freight stations here.
Yes, I am aware of the demurrage charges.
So most of the container freight stations have already started, running near full capacity. So what will happen if people not pick up the imports at a faster pace? So it might actually create congestion at the ports and CFS. So that has to be streamlined because even for some non-genuine reasons, because most of the companies are shut and people are in no actually hurry to pick up the items from the thing. And other thing I would like to mention, that government has asked all CFS not to charge rent on keeping the containers in their premise. But despite that, actually, CFS, they are charging rent at number of ports. I think that is fine also, because that will be serving some disincentive for people to actually keep holding the place at CFS and pick up the items as quickly as possible. That is also going to be important. Now logistic situation improving, people have to pick up the items and put that in their own stores or wherever they like. So they have to pick up the items from, otherwise it might create problem. But I think government is aware about this issue and they will solve this issue too.
I see. Yeah, I guess the companies will comply and do their best in claiming their cargo or sending it abroad. Yep, I'm quite sure the companies will comply. Well, thank you very much for all answers, Darshu and Prashant.